What's up, guys, and welcome back to Abri Renee TV. And if you're new, welcome. Be sure to click that subscribe button. And if you want to see how I achieved this flawless frontal using only GOT2B, stay tuned and keep watching. So right here, I'm just beginning by cutting out her ear tabs. To melt the cap, I'm going to use my GOT2B spray all across her hairline and pushing it in with my fingers. In order to avoid this mistake, be sure to let the cap dry all the way before cutting it. When cutting the cap, try to cut closest to the new hairline you just created using the GOT2B. Here I'm just going in and cutting the remaining pieces of the stocking cap that are sticking up past the GOT2B, just for the smoothest transition possible. To create her fake scalp skin tone, I'm using her Fit Me pressed powder in her regular makeup shade. Note that I am using pressed powder and not liquid foundation because I feel it's just a less messier process, and I am using a foundation brush to make sure that I get the most product to dab onto the stocking cap. No, bitch, you did with head. Can you? You see it. You see it. Off camera, I did use an elastic band to measure around the crown of her head and sewed it to the sides of the wig above her ears so it can fit tight. I'm taking my first layer of GOT2B gel and smoothing it along the edges of the stocking cap toward her face to smooth out the seam. Instead of taking the wig off or pushing it back, just fold your frontal over slightly behind the stocking cap when applying your layers of GOT2B. Before I apply my second layer of GOT2B, I make sure my first layer is dry, completely clear. After letting my second layer dry tacky, I'm going in with my GOT2B spray and I'm spraying it over the edges of the stocking cap and the layers of GOT2B to make it more tacky. Note that I am not using a blow dryer to dry the last layer of GOT2B, but instead I'm pulling the frontal down and melting it into the skin while the GOT2B is still tacky. I'm using the comb to push the lace into the skin for a better melt, and I'm using the end of the rat tail comb to smooth out any rough edges in the stocking cap. I don't dry the spray until after everything is melted down the way I want it as such. After cutting the remaining lace into about 4 tabs, I'm going in with my GOT2B spray on top of the hairline to smooth the edges in for a smoother melt. Be sure to still push the lace and smooth the hair while you're drying that new layer of GOT2B on top of the hairline. To cut the remaining lace off, I'm going in with an eyebrow razor and cutting unevenly along her hairline. The simplest way to make an ear tab on your frontal is to make a part over and around your ear and cut the remaining lace and hair off from the back of the ear. melt that air tab like a natural sideburn, I'm taking my GOT2B spray and spraying it over the lace, pulling the hair down and pushing the lace into the skin while blow drying it. I'm using that GOT2B spray again to eliminate any whiteness and push the lace into the skin using the back of my edge comb. I'm using rubbing alcohol to rub off the excess gel and spray on her face. Now that I'm done melting the hairline, I'm using that same Fit Me pressed powder to brush along the edges of the lace. To eliminate the flyaways, I'm using my foaming wrap lotion and smoothing it along the hairline. To create the baby hairs, I'm parting out thin layers of the frontal across her hairline to frame her face. Before I cut and style the baby hairs, I like to tie it down with an elastic band tight and blow dry it for a couple minutes to further melt it into the skin. I'm going in with my wax stick and hot comb to smoothen out the top as flat as possible. Okay, so I forgot to hit record when I removed the elastic band and cut the baby hairs, but I'll show you later how I cut the baby hairs on the other side. But before I can style the baby hairs, I'm combing them out to eliminate any hardness that was left from the foaming wrap lotion or the GOT2B. Starting at her temple towards her ear, I'm taking my edge brush with the foaming lotion on it and swooping it with my fingers until I reach my liking. I'm using my wrap lotion again to smooth the hairline behind the baby hairs. The key to natural baby hairs is just to keep playing with them and freestyling them until you find it right. Here I'm just going in with my eyebrow razor to trim the rest of the extra long pieces that were left in the baby hairs, which is the exact same way I cut the rest of the baby hairs on this frontal. To make sure those baby hairs stay, I like to spray over them lightly and blow dry it. To blend the skin tone of the lace a little more, I'm going in with her Liquid Fit Me foundation on an eyeshadow brush and just dabbing it into the lace and rubbing it in with my fingers. After tying the frontal down with a silk scarf, I'm blow drying it a couple more minutes to make sure everything dries seamlessly. There was a flat piece of GOT2B that dried up from the silk scarf on her baby hair, so I'm carefully taking it off with my edge brush, avoiding the rest of the baby hairs. Here's the frontal the next morning after tying it down with that silk scarf.